I think the INFJs can actually participate in the discussions among the rationals.
That's true. Like if we're going for discussions.
Or that depends on the purpose. Like we can snort cocaine and go wild if you want to, but then we gotta bring some ESTPs.
Well, I just feel like we've got a lot of discussion going on, but we might, need a little bit of positive like encouragement. And I feel like I don't know, ISFJs are sometimes good at like giving that like positive.
They're good at
vibe.
giving like affirmations and positive vibe, yeah. But
yeah, they got that auxiliary extroverted feeling, so they can kind of like feed us when we get kind of exhausted with
so if we drop one ISFJ and one INFJ, one INFJ and one ISFJ. Can we agree on that? Okay, we drop one INFJ. Oh, oops. One INFJ, one ISFJ. So we have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 5 more slots. Okay, 5 more slots to fill. I'm thinking maybe one ENFP, because ENFPs can be pretty fun though, especially at parties.
I would invite an ENFP just to kind of anchor things there.
4 slots remaining.
Do we want any ESTPs there or not?
Like, I wouldn't mind if they went to another party,
Right, you're like, they're probably having their own party.
Yeah, they can have their own party. I don't mind. Like, ISTP is sure thing, but the ESTPs can do
party, like, probably just go to another party.
Yeah, okay. So, do we need I would never say this normally, but do we need an INFP?
I don't know.
I'm pretty.
Would you want an INFP or an ISFP?
At a party, maybe the ISFP actually, but
I feel like one of each could be okay.
But so much FI. I'm already concerned for ENFP. Like one ENFP is pretty much FI already.
ENFP might be enough FI. Yeah, we could invite more ENFJs.
What's my MBTI type? Let me ask you this question. Who is asking?
And what's your MBTI type?
Yeah, and your name and your credit card number and all that shit.
Does not matter.
Well, we're in the middle of doing the most serious thing we've been doing for the last 5 hours, so please don't interfere unless you have something important to say. Okay.
Okay, what about ESTJs? Do we want one of those?
No, definitely not. Why would we need a fucking ESTJ on our party? Like, what ESTJs could they
like run around like introducing people to each other and like for no reason?
Nah. I've been partying with ESTJs.
I don't think about a bigger party. Like for this size of party, I don't think we need one.
Why can't you answer our question? Like, if you're presented to someone, you say like, "Hi, my name is Jacob. What's your name?" So just say your fucking type first, and then I'll say my type.
So how many more slots do we have left, Jacob?
We have 4 slots left only. I'm thinking one ESFP though.
Okay.
Do you agree on it? Okay, like we don't need any discussion. I think we both like telekinetically know why.
I mean, like they might be fun.
Yeah, they're fun and they're cheerful and shit. So one ESFP, 3 slots
have some
left.
like cheerful FE stuff just to kind of keep us from getting to just sitting around and like talking about the doom of the universe or whatever. Okay, so now we have 3
slots left and shit chat going on in the chat. I don't know. Like, I wouldn't mind another INTP. I could easily like take on like increase the number of INTPs from 2 to 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's plus 1 INTP. And then we have 2 slots remaining. Maybe one. Left. Like the ESFJ right now, I think is pretty overloaded. You know, she gotta go around, check so everybody's like having fun and shit. And she's also like serving shit, doing the dishes. I think one, but we also have one ISFJ.
We have one of each, so I think we could invite more ENTPs. I think we've got enough other people. Maybe.
Don't you think 3 ENTPs is enough opinions?
I think you have to have an odd number. I don't know.
We are an odd number. We are 3 at the moment.
I don't want any more INTJs. Do you?
I don't know. Nah, I can be fine with one. Maybe another ENFP though. Maybe it's like a second ENFP.
That would actually be cool. I could do another ENFP.
Okay, the last fucking slot.
Okay.
What's the last?
We could do another INFJ, I guess.
Okay, I'm fine with that. Let's just go with one INFJ. So we have 3.
Yeah, they can talk to each other when they're totally fed up with the rest of us, and so we have to.
Oh yeah. 3 ENTPs, 1 INTJ, 3 INTPs, 1 ESFJ, 1 ESTP, 2 INFJs, 1 ISFJ, 2 ENFPs. I think that would be a pretty good party, though.
That sounds like a pretty good party.
Who was the guy just dropping in?
I don't know. They left.
He was being such a cunt. I could, like, he just jumps in and like, hey, what's your MBTI type? And then when I fucking asked him, he just went like, oh no, it doesn't matter. Okay, if it doesn't matter me asking you, then why the fuck does it matter when you ask me?
Yeah, I wasn't even reading. It's like, it does not make sense. I asked first, and I'm invited. This room is for everyone. Oh my goodness, I am not a guest.
I don't even.
Oh my goodness.
You said he was an ESFP. He's an ESFP. Said, was it Magnus? Is it Magnus? Is this someone you knew? Or are you just trolling us? That I was an ESFP. Well, if I was an ESFP in like 15 minutes to 12 on a Friday, I wouldn't be sitting chatting with randoms on the internet. I would be out getting drunk on the fucking pub or like a club right now. But instead, I'm staying here talking with you, getting drunk at home. That makes me an ENTP. So, cheers.
Being drunk at home while talking to people on the internet, that's just like the, you know, doesn't get much better, right?
Perfect distance.
Hello, my Danish friend. How are you doing today?
What up? Nothing much. Smoked a shit ton of weed.
Really? You know, I felt today was one of those days when I was like, oh fuck, I should have purchased weed, you know. I was like, oh fuck, I really felt the urge. And I also had the opportunity like a few days ago because a friend was like, oh, you want to split? And I was like, nah, I don't feel the need of it. And right now I was like, oh, I just want to smoke a fat blunt right now. But I can't. But it's too late now, you know, the fucking regret and shit. But yeah, I'm sitting here with a whiskey, so that's gotta have to do for now.
Yeah, like, I prefer smoking when I'm just chilling. Fucking drinking makes me depressed.
Oh, I've seen it, yeah. I've seen INTPs drink. Most of them become pretty depressed. And pretty damn emotional as well, I gotta admit. Like, I think three out of 4 times I've seen an INTP cry is due to alcohol. And it's true.
Like, it goes like one or the other way, you know, like either I'm really happy or I'm like fucking...
Yeah, it's alcohol, you know, emotional swings and all that stuff. Alcohol is a fucking useless substance, but it's the only legal substance, so I fucking hate alcohol. I really fucking hate it. Like, there's so many better choices, but alcohol is the only one, except for tobacco, that's like permitted.
Mm. Yeah, I would prefer to do some fucking, I don't know.
You gotta try shrooms, man. Shrooms is the shit.
Shrooms.
Yeah, fucking hell, trust me. Like, you don't do shrooms to be like cool and shit, or like, oh well, I've done shrooms, I've seen so much stuff. You're like, shrooms is so much more bodily, like spiritual, and it reveals something about yourself that you're not consciously aware of.
Mm.
I would sort of use it as sort of a self-medicament in like, I don't know, to just improve your character. But it isn't for everyone, and you shouldn't like overdo it. But like, microdosing shrooms surely make stuff like easier. And it has some like, there's scientific studies that actually have been conducted about people taking shrooms. Like, many people who are addicted to cigarettes stop smoking afterwards, and people have a tendency to feel that their problems or stuff they didn't even think about basically just vanishes. Sort of like they reposition their priorities and what's their meaning. Yeah, perspective. That was the word I was looking for.
Mm.
They get a new kind of view on what's meaning to their life.
It's important.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I could probably see that happen, and I feel like NTs are pretty good at handling drugs, like in general. From what I just know, like I know one other INTP and one other ENTP, and like they're pretty good at handling drugs, like the effects, like, you know, when they bad trip, they're pretty good at controlling their emotions.
I agree and I disagree, because
I guess it depends on what it is, you know. On alcohol, like, it's pretty hard for people in general, but I would say from myself, like I've tried like a couple of drugs, and I was always pretty good at like handling my thought patterns when I was.
But I think that is due to dominant TI, because I've had a bad trip on LSD, and it wasn't just a bad trip. It was like one of the worst possible trips you could ever imagine. And I think I was doing it with my INTP buddy, and he didn't have sort of problem as I did, but he sorted everything through TI and everything, so everything was pretty clear to him, but it wasn't for me. And it's a really long fucking story. It was like, the summary is sort of, I thought I was sent to the fourth dimension, and they punished me by forcing me to punch my own eye out, and I died. Basically, I died during the trip from blood loss, and I thought I was blind. I had no vision on my like left eye and shit, and yeah, and it wasn't just LSD. It was like 200, what is it called, UG, UG plus. But the biggest problem was that we decided to smoke a bong just before the peak. So accelerated, not like this, you know, during the peak. It went like fucking up the sky, like everything just. If you're interested in hearing it, I basically, like, I have the full story on one of the raw footages. I can send you a link to it, but it's like 1 hour, so it's very long, and I don't feel like doing it right now.
No, you don't have to tell me. You can just link it. But it sounds interesting. But I guess fuck. I know the film because I've bad tripped on what you call it, on ketamine before.
Never done ketamine, but I've read a lot about it.
Yeah, every NT has read about drugs. I love reading about them for fun as well. And just trip reports and shit.
It's this video and the video afterwards, and it starts sort of like 0320 sort of. And I can't, like, it, it was a raw footage, so it's not really like the best footage. It's not really the best description, but if you watch some raw footage, you probably know how it goes. Like, it's not like me narrating everything happening in chronological order, but like, shit can happen. And everything started with my friend basically just throwing me a fucking sausage, and I thought like the sausage was sort of my finger. Well, when you have the time, or if you're interested in it, just check out that video and the video afterwards. I think there's 2 videos. We talk about it. It's me, Can. I think it's me, Can, Neptune. Maybe there's a few more in the room. I think Maktab is also there. Yeah, Maktab is also there. I have no fucking idea who Maktab even is, but is Maktab here right now? Can you verify me in chat? Just say hello. Is Maktab the Kodo? Have I told this story to Kodo without me even knowing it? What the fuck?
Apparently.
Yeah, well.
What, like, how much have you drank so far?
Right now?
Yeah.
Sort of 35 centiliters of whiskey and 2 strong beers.
Oh yeah, so you're pretty, not pretty, but like you can feel it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I wouldn't drink alcohol with the purpose of not feeling it.
Yeah, I don't drink for fun either.
I'm sort of drunk, but I'm not like completely wasted. But I'm getting drunk.
I guess that's why I don't drink that much, because like when I drink, I fucking drink, you know. Like I can just drink like 4 beers or some shit.
Yeah, I'm similar. Like I can't stop. I reach a level where I just can't stop, and it's not like, well, I could stop, but I just don't feel like it. You know, I just keep going. It's either I don't drink or I drink. It's sort of in between. Maybe if I like, okay, we're going to a pub with a few friends, I might just take a few beers and be done with it. But if it's like a Friday night, and I'm also sort of celebrating because I was offered a job, which I would like, one of the jobs I basically dreamt of getting. So it's like, oh, well, fucking, we celebrate tonight, you know. But the problem is the fucking weed is missing. That's the only thing, like, fucking, the weed is gone.
Alcohol and weed is, it can be dangerous, though.
It's a bad combo. But the thing is, if I would have had weed, I wouldn't have as much alcohol as I do right now, though.
Oh, funny shit I've seen people do is when like there's like fucking shit faced drunk and then they like take a hit of a blunt or some shit.
Let me tell you a story. Like it was like, babe, för 1 eller 2 veckor sedan. Babe. Okay, she's watching something. I think it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks or maybe 1 week. I can't recall. No, not 1 week, 2 weeks, probably. I had a friend from Stockholm, like the capital of Sweden, who lived here earlier. One of the guys I've been studying with, coming down with his girlfriend, being here. And she had never tried like smoking weed, but my friend had like a few times in the past, but he was still new to it and shit. My friend is an INTP and she's an ENFP. So they basically got here, like tried to... Or the thing was, he was like, oh, I wanted to visit, but we have no place to stay. Like, we had no place, but, like, they got sick or something, so they couldn't stay there. Can I sleep at your place? And I was like, well, like, I'm pretty sick myself, but I wouldn't mind. Okay, well, you're a bro, whatever. You can sleep here. So they come over, like, me and my INFJ girlfriend, we stay at home the entire fucking evening. But he and the ENFP girlfriend goes out to the club, you know, they party, and then they get home. And I fucking warn them. I warn them before they go out and say, like, if you want to smoke afterwards, don't drink too much, you know. Don't fucking drink too much. And then they come home, and me and my girlfriend, we're pretty sober. I've drank, like, a bit, but not that much. I'm a slightly tipsy, and I'm pretty experienced in this, like, yeah, you get it. And they come home, and my friend he's not like completely wasted, but I can see he's sort of drunk, you know. And his girlfriend is also like sort of drunk. His girlfriend is like pretty tiny Chinese girl. I figured she didn't have much of a tolerance, you know. And her girlfriend's like, and we started like, we like pre-rolled it before they went out because I knew that they wouldn't feel like doing it when they got here. So we just take the blunt, start smoking it. And he basically tries to convince his ENFP girlfriend to try. And the ENFP was basically like, oh, well, something new, and was so excited about it at first. But when she once she got drunk and stuff, she was like so skeptical because it was so new to her, and she became slightly like frightened. And I thought like, Well, the stereotypical image of someone smoking weed is more like, whoa, I laugh at stuff, I get like cheerful and, you know, easygoing. But that wasn't the image my friend presented her, because my friend just took a few tokes and then just boom, down the mattress he went, and just like, I just want to sleep. And I was, I fucking told you so. You shouldn't have fucking been drinking so much. You drank way too much, dude. And he's like, yeah, well, whatever. Just laying there. And he's trying to be all cuddly with her. And she was like, she was more sober than he was. And she didn't even like smoke. So she was basically sitting like this. And he's like lying on the fucking mattress next to him. And like, are you awake? What's going on? And I'm like, oh my fucking God. Like, and this was the first time she was tried to smoke. And I was like, what the fuck? And I don't understand why a person would encourage someone to smoke the first time while they're drunk. I was like, what the fuck, dude? Who even does that? It's like, okay, if it's the first time you smoke weed, you should smoke it fucking sober. You can't just fucking drink a lot of alcohol and smoke and expect a good result. Because shit is gonna backfire. You might get like fucking nauseous, you might puke and shit. So like alcohol and weed, it does not blend, doesn't work, does not compute, you know. Oh, yo, Eric.
Hello, Sweden. I agree with you completely. Always smoke before you drink, not the other way around.
Exactly. Unless it's just a few beers, like 2 or 3 or maybe 4 beers might work. But if you're drinking fucking like strong liquid, no. Fuck no.
I mean,
You can't.
if you're doing it concurrently, fine, it'll slow you down, the drinking. But if you drink and you're very, I'm not that drunk. I'm just kind of drunk. You think to yourself. And then you smoke weed, and then you got the spins and you're puking.
Yeah, I've been in that situation many times.
It always sounds like a good idea, right? You're you're like, oh, fuck yeah, I can smoke some weed. That'll just sort of chill me out a little bit. And then you smoke it and you're fucking toast.
Yeah, there was one time I was at a party, and it was so fucking crazy. We was about to go at the club. We was at this sort of 4 party, and I've been drinking quite a lot, like much booze and shit. And I haven't been smoking weed. I don't know. Don't go grammar Nazi on me.
I know, I love it. It's totally a proper construction, but it's very archaic, and it sounds great. Much booze. There was much booze.
Okay. You get what I'm saying. Anyway. Well, and I had this guy basically deliver me like a fat fucking joint, you know. And I was so drunk. So I just took it and I smoked. And the thing is, I hadn't, like, during that period, I didn't smoke for like 2 months or something. So my tolerance was so fucking gone. And I just took like 2 or 3 tokes and passed it around. And I started to feel something, you know, started to feel something in my body. And then it just came back, like, it went around and I took it again, took 2 more. And then, like, all of a sudden, I just stepped up and everything was like, woof, 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 and I was so drunk. And I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna fucking try to enter the club like this. It's fucking insane. I can't do it. And it's like, the club is pretty damn close to where I live, though, so, or where the party were. So we just walked down, and during, like, they were walking like this, and I just started, like, turning off into the fucking forest because I was like, I can't fucking go in like this. People are gonna fucking question me and shit. It's so obvious that I'm like on something, not alcohol. So I just started walking around the fucking park in order to like sober up, sort of. And then my friends just ran up to me and like, okay, dude, how are you feeling? And I'm like, well, fucking everything is fucking spinning. And then like, being kind dudes, you know, they basically just followed me home and like, okay, well, maybe just rest a while and you can come to the club later. And like, I was saying like, oh yeah, I'm gonna come, I'll come later. Do you think I'll come later? No, I fucking just crashed into my bed, fell straight asleep, and sort of woke up with fucking puke all over the fucking like bedside and the wall because of fucking puke shit during the night. I can't even remember doing it. It was insane, man. So like fucking don't blend alcohol and weed. It does not work. It does not compute, you know.
It's fine as long as you smoke first. But
in this case, I was more drunk. I was drunk before I smoked, and that's the biggest error.
I have a scary story about like weed and alcohol mix. I was at a festival like 2 years ago, and then we got shit faced, and then we smoked some blunts afterwards. And then one friend, when he fell asleep, like we all went to bed. It was fucking 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I was taking a piss, and then I hear some guy, it's like choking sounds in the tent. And then I'm like, what the fuck is happening, And I go into the tent, and there's like puke, in his mouth. And then I like turn him to the side, but I just do it like instinctively. I didn't really think about it, because I was fucking, shit-faced drunk myself. I just kind of reacted. So yeah, like when he woke up, there was puke everywhere and shit. But he was almost choking on his own puke. No joke. Because when you're like really, really, really drunk and you smoke some weed, like there's even if you puke like in your own mouth, you probably won't wake up,
Yeah,
like you choke on your own vomit, basically. If you're drunk enough, or yeah.
You were doing a good deed, man. Like
yeah, apparently.
Yeah,
I did it.
Shit like that can turn out bad, like stuff happens, especially like due to alcohol.
Caroline, I much prefer your new circle. It's great. I like it a lot. Yeah, alcohol's bad. That's why I don't drink alcohol anymore. I haven't had a drop of alcohol in over 3 years, and it's the difference between me being okay and me being a complete fucking disaster is whether or not I drink alcohol. So,
Yeah, alcohol is so fucking useless. It's like fucking nerve poisoning, but it's still like, it's the only legal choice, right? A few days back, a friend asked me, do you want to share something? Do you want to split this? And I was like, no, I don't feel like it. Like, well, I didn't feel the need to do it, but right now it's like, oh man, I would really need a fat blunt. I want to get high. But it's the only fucking legal choice, fucking tobacco, alcohol, that's the legal choices we have. Like, there's only 2 things to choose from, and both of them are unhealthy as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
The best combination and the thing that makes life good and sustainable is weed and marijuana. You gotta combine those 2. The speed helps you to be productive and get shit done. The marijuana helps you to be less tweaked out and just generally feel good. And together, they combine for a wonderful, wonderful day at the museum.
What state do you live in, Eric?
California.
California. But in California, weed is legal now, is it? Right? Medical marijuana.
The actual recreational hasn't come into effect yet, but it's basically people are getting ready they're doing the ground shit, like putting together the legal stuff. But whatever regarding recreational, the medical is brilliant. We have the best pot system in the world, the best, because to get a prescription, you go to a storefront where there's a secretary sitting there. You say, I need a recommendation for marijuana, and you write down what the reason is, and you can write down like insomnia or whatever. I just wrote down like ADHD, insomnia. Those are good ones to write down. And then she says, "Do you need to talk to the doctor?" And you go, "No, that's fine." She said, "I can put you on a video conference with the doctor if you want." And you go, "No, that's fine." And she goes, "Okay, it's $40 cash only." And you go, "Okay, here's $40." And that lasts a year. It's a piece of paper that they then print out and that is digitally signed by the doctor. It lasts for a year. Then you go to the dispensary and you show them that in your ID, and then you buy weed without any taxes. And it costs for the absolute top shelf shit. The best thing you can possibly get as far as buds go is 35 and 8.
But that's so easy. It's sort of like I hear myself though. It's sort of like they know themselves that this isn't a harmful substance, but they still gotta follow the procedure because the ones working there, they know themselves that, okay, well, it doesn't really matter, you know. Even if you don't have a problem, you can probably just purchase marijuana. It should still be the same kind. It should follow sort of the same rules as alcohol does, because like, and America is a great example of how. Because Sweden is very affected by how it works in America. Because Sweden has monitored the American success of legalization of marijuana. So now we CBD oil. You know what CBD oil is?
Yeah, I know what it is.
Yeah, it's legalized in Sweden, and it's never been before. So like Sweden is taking like small steps in legalizing weed, but it's like going still very slow due to conservative nature. But
well, it's ridiculous because in Colorado, when they legalized it, driving accidents went down, general traffic fatalities went down, domestic violence went down. All things that get associated with alcohol go down because marijuana is not a problem drug. It's like the only thing that's a problem about it is if you don't have any speed, you'll need to take an extra nap during the day if you smoke weed on a regular basis. Like when I say smoke weed, I mean smoke weed all day, every day. Because to me, it's the only way you can smoke it. It doesn't make any sense to smoke it anyway.
Did you just freeze, Eric?
Did I just freeze? No, I'm looking at
no. you just held such a maintained, like, static posture. I thought you freezed. Like, LSD and weed is not the same thing. It's like, how would I say it? Like, LSD can be useful for some people during some circumstances, but there's always gotta be idiots for everything. Like, stupid people are gonna do like stupid stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if people like, oh wow, LSD is illegal now, and they take like fucking too much LSD, too much maybe alcohol, and then go to a club. That's not gonna work, you know. LSD is sort of like set and setting is much like way more important than like set and setting is during like being high on weed or like alcohol. Yeah, they do that thing anyway, but they don't do it in like public places. And I think people will be stupid enough and curious enough to do it in public places.
Yeah, but it alters your conscience way more than weed does.
Yep.
Like, I fucking read trip reports about people staring at the sun while on LSD because the sun was bright and it felt good, and then they got blind.
Well, I have had my fair share of LSD experience as well, so I know what I speak about. But no, you don't go crazy. Or yes, you can. Well, I've had an overdose on LSD, and I know what I speak about. And like, it's not, LSD is something you shouldn't take, or you shouldn't even be able to take it in the public environment. And even if there were some like legalized people selling it, like due to special circumstances and shit, people would still like try to do it in places where it shouldn't be fine. I do not think LSD should be legal. No, you can't die. You can't die from the substance itself, but like the amount of like conscious manipulation the drug makes to you is like absurd. You can't, if you haven't tried LSD, you can't even possibly imagine what it is like.
I want to talk about that though. Look, because you're conflating, you're doing what states always do. You're assuming that this legislation, number one, actually prevents the thing you're trying to prevent, and number two, that you don't have to count the harms implicit in the enforcement of the legislation.
No, I don't. No, I don't.
You don't. Well, if you consider both those factors,
no, I don't.
For the illegality of LSD.
No, I don't. The reason is simply because if you were to do it legal, people would do it publicly. It would be much more of a public thing, and that would sort of disturb, or it wouldn't be in line with how the drug is supposed to work. Like LSD works best in a closed environment.
So how many years in prison do we have to send people to prison for to prevent people from doing it in public?
That's the problem. That's the problem. Like, that's the thing. I don't see the reason why sending people to jail would be like sending people to jail for doing a psychedelic substance. I don't encourage that, but I see a problem with doing it. Like, the thing is, Eric, I see a problem because I know that there's a lot of like stupid people out there, and I'm just scared because people would abuse these substances in order to maybe just be cool or whatever, fucking take LSD and alcohol and go to the club.
Point here, which is, if you're talking about making it illegal, you're saying let's use coercion to compel people not to do this thing that I think is dangerous. Okay, now it might be dangerous, it might be, but you are ignoring the actual impacts of the argument you're making, which is people get put in prison for many years.
Okay. Well. Okay. Let's agree on that. Like, I don't see the point in going to prison for doing a psychedelic substance. I agree on that, but I do not see in which way we could possibly legalize it without like having consequences being harmful for some sort of population.
Say this instead. I don't see how we can stop forcing people at gunpoint into cages. I don't see how we can stop doing that. I love doing that. Say that. That's what you mean. You're distancing yourself from the impacts.
No, I don't. I don't. Like, you completely missed the point.
People at gunpoint into cages. Say it.
I don't like people being put into cages for using psychedelic substances that alters their consciousness and grants them insight into things.
That's what you're advocating. You say you don't know how we could legalize it. You say, I don't know how we could stop forcing people at gunpoint into cages.
You don't get me, Eric. You just don't get it. The thing is, I see why it's illegal, and I see why why it should have been legal. Like, I want people
to continue doing what?
I don't know. I don't know the solution.
Forcing people into cages at gunpoint. That's what you are saying. I can see why it's illegal.
Okay. I get what you're saying.
Gunpoint.
Well, maybe it should have been better being legal. Maybe it should have been, but then we gotta experience stuff we haven't experienced before. Then there's gonna be like crime, and I totally get what you're saying now. Yeah, like, you're like, okay, well, since you want it to still be illegal, you want people to be go to prison because of this. I get that, but I don't see how we can possibly like do harm reduction. In which way could we possibly do harm reduction by having it legalized?
First of all, let it be an actual problem, right? Not just a hypothetical problem. I am living in a society where I do not walk around seeing people causing problems because, oh my God, everyone's on acid. I just don't see that to be the case. Now, even if it were the case that it were legal and there was a rash of acid takings, there would be a few accidents that would make the news, and then people would have to grow up about it a little bit. And then after that, there wouldn't be any more mention of it. People assume that because bad shit can happen, it's going to. I've got this. It's called a MAP gas torch. I've also got a gas station over there, and I've got cans that can fill with gas. I could burn the fucking city to the ground in a moment. Should we make fire illegal too?
Eric, you know what? You're a great entertainer. You really are.
It's not entertainment. It's truth. I'm shouting the truth at you.
No, you don't. You still don't get my point.
I get your point. You're scared, and therefore, let's have some more state government fucking bullshit.
I'm not scared. I'm considerate.
You're not considerate. You're not considerate. You're not considerate. Tell that to the person in the fucking cage. You're not considerate to him and his family. You're the reason why he's in the cage. People like you advocating for bullshit.
You're generalizing. You see stuff in black and white and just generalize it.
What are you talking about?
We're talking about legalization of LSD.
People should not be in prison for LSD, and he wants it to still be illegal, but not have that be the outcome somehow.
No. No, that's not what I'm saying. You're misinterpreting my question. What I'm saying is, how do you harm reduct? How do you reduce the amount of harm LSD can do to people who are stupid enough to take it in like different kind of environments, or who are not mentally sane enough to take it?
Answer your question. Step one, we stop saying we don't need to harm reduce for other people's decisions. Step two, we acknowledge that the harm should actually happen before we reduce it. Step three, we should acknowledge that the harms implicit in using that argument to justify state violence against individuals who violated no one's rights is vastly outweighing any other possible harms from the thing being prohibited.
I get what you're saying. I totally do. But if you're about to harm someone else due to the drug itself,
I've
had a friend who's been on...
It's there. If you're about to harm someone else, period. That's it. Don't draw your causal relationships. It's not because of the drug. If you're about to harm someone else, you're about to commit a crime. No,
you don't get it. You don't even listen to me. You just keep interrupting me. So I have no respect for you in this sense because you keep interrupting me. I've had a friend who basically went on LSD. He took too much LSD, and he basically thought that everyone around him was a fucking alien. He was hostile towards everyone around him. And how do you like... LSD is not like a substance that harms yourself. Yeah, like you can harm someone else without even like notifying them as a human being.
Legal? And this happened while LSD was legal?
What is legal? This has nothing to do with legalizing.
Harms of legalization, right?
The thing is, I relate harm reduction to legalization because if the harm reduction is good enough, then it can be legalized.
Jacob, did making it illegal reduce the harm?
No, but it made people more aware of the side effects of
it. Did it make him aware enough not to incur the harm? Did it make him aware enough not to incur the harm?
Basically, it comes out of this. What Eric is trying to say. See if I explain it through my way. Maybe it'll come. You'll see it different. Take alcohol, for example. People do really stupid things when they drink too much alcohol. It's still legal. It's mandating something like that. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, it's harmful. We shouldn't let people just willy-nilly use it. I understand. But at the same time, it's like people are adults and they need to act like adults. It's not like right to take away their choice to make a dumb decision.
Like, you're still... Yes and no, but... Like, if LSD was legal, would you have it in the same way as people sell alcohol and marijuana?
I mean, yeah.
And by the way, Purple, this has nothing to do with logic. This is just different perspectives of the matter.
I mean, yeah.
No, you're wrong about that, Jacob. What I'm saying is that we need to understand that when you are advocating a position, you are advocating certain outcomes. We should evaluate those outcomes concretely and say they are bad outcomes, and deny your position accordingly. The problem here is you fail to understand the individual is the key agent here. There are no groups that contain moral agency. Individuals act out moral acts only, okay? You cannot have a group that has moral agency. Now, hear me out, Jacob. What you keep saying is you're talking about the possible harms of something that some people will incur. For sure, some people will incur those harms. And you are assuming solvency. You're saying, we can solve this problem as a group. But all the evidence that you have, every single speck of it, proves that we cannot solve this problem, that illegality does not prevent LSD from getting into the marketplace, and it doesn't prevent the harms that your friend incurred. Now, we also can acknowledge that when we as a group use illegality or coercive methodologies against things that are fundamentally rights, which is to say I have the right, I own my own body, I can do with it as I please. Now, when we violate that right to bodily integrity, what actually happens are real harms, real physical world harms, people getting subject to violence. In contrast to what you are engaged in, which is metaphysical mush making of, well, we might incur this harm, we might incur that harm, and we need to do this and we need to do that. Who the fuck is we? I'm not part of your we.
Okay.
I think something that you should keep in mind.
Can I speak now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I totally get what Eric is saying. I like it because it's like relating to like the individual aspect of it. But I would not put LSD under the same like border as I do weed and alcohol, because it's a totally different substance and it has totally different implications. And what I mean to say is that LSD is not for everyone. Like you can't just. I think like Eric has this sort of individual sense. He wants people to like stand up for themselves, be responsible for themselves, and I acknowledge that. But like in a sort of a society where a drug can be so like ego or conscious altering, and I'm not saying that it should be illegal, because I think it's fucking stupid to have it illegal, because people are still gonna do it anyway. We witnessed how the alcohol prohibition went during the 30s in America. People fucking drank more alcohol than they ever done before, and it didn't work. The same with fucking weed, you know. But I don't know. I don't know how to solve the LSD issue. I don't think it should be the same. The only thing I'm saying is I don't think it should be the same kind of terms that weed and alcohol has. That's what I'm saying. I think there should be some sort of, maybe, I don't know, psychology like test or something. Something you have to like prove yourself to be mature enough, because LSD cannot be like grouped together with alcohol and weed. That's the only thing I'm saying.
Look at the chat. Do you see the chat at the bottom with the prescription part? I think that's a good point. Would that be like a good middle ground for you? Like have it as something kind of like Adderall or Oxycontin or something like that you need to take steps to go through in order to obtain?
That would be better than having it as an open market, I would say. Because having it as an open market, then basically anyone can try it. It could be like, as I said, like Eric has sort of an individualistic sort of this, but I sort of, my NE just goes off and I imagine the worst possible scenario. I've met people that can't handle substances. I've seen a lot of shit in my life, and I know that people would try going like on LSD, like too much LSD on the club, for example.
I think I think you just have a more developed, was that FE, like being concerned for like the harmony and the welfare of the group, right? That's FE.
He doesn't care about people. He's a violent thug. And he wants to possess all this shit he's piling up is a bunch of fluff around the fact that he's a violent thug. Because no matter what he says,
I mean, I'm not going to go that far.
I am going to go that far and explain why. Because everything you're saying is justification for some other person forcing another third party. Okay, you're not saying I need to be forced to gunpoint to do this shit. You're saying everyone else does. You're not worried about what
I don't think he thinks about it that way.
Jacob, you're not saying I'm concerned that I'm going to, if LSD is legal, I'm going to take too much of it in public and I'm going to cause problems. Well, if LSD is legal and you're going to take too much of it in public and cause problems, then you're engaged in a criminal conspiracy right now to cause problems. It has nothing to do with the LSD. Right? The LSD is not a relevant factor in you engaging in criminal behavior. That's one of the fucking mistakes you made here, which is to say that somehow because people are going to do bad things because they are on drugs or need drugs or something. Nobody's disputing that addiction is a serious issue. Nobody's disputing that drugs can be taken. You can take too many drugs and do all kinds of shit. But the absolute most dangerous drug of all, the single most dangerous drug by far, is alcohol, and it's already legal.
Bullshit. The second most dangerous drug is tobacco, which kills a lot more people than alcohol does.
Okay, doesn't
kill as many lives.
That's a different. That's called an equivocation fallacy. What we're talking about is the actual danger in terms of the immediate present causing behavioral problems, and you conflate it with overall health concerns. That's not a response to my argument.
Yeah.
Well, in my world, like the drug that kills most people is the most harmful substance, and I consider tobacco to be the most harmful substance because it kills 5 times more people than alcohol does.
Well, to jump back to a previous point that Eric made, and maybe it's something you haven't thought about before, is that whenever anybody advocates for anything being legal or illegal, the very end result of that is somebody with a gun from the state forcing you with the threat of violence. That's what every authority on this planet comes back to, is violence, naked force, period. So when you say it's a serious deal to say this should be illegal or this should be illegal, because at the end of the day, if somebody continues to violate that, people with guns from the government are going to come take you and do what Eric said and put you in a fucking cage.
Can I tell you something? In my opinion, every substance should be legalized. I'm such a libertarian that I think every substance should be legalized, but everything is about information. And I think what I interpret Eric to say is that like LSD should be put under the same border as weed. And I don't think LSD should be as easily to get as like he just told me about how easy it is to get weed in his state. Like, oh, you go up, you say you have insomnia or ADD and stuff. If someone were to do the same thing and just get LSD, I do not approve of that, because I think LSD is something totally different. It has to be something. It has to be. You gotta speak with someone. Someone's got to be able to make sure that you can handle that shit. It's not something you just get out.
Hey, listen. Nobody made sure I was ready to handle forensic acid. The reason why we have problems with acid is not because of too few regulations. It's because of too much regulation. If acid were allowed to go through its naturally occurring existence in the ecosystem of ideas and products and phenomena, then people would abuse it, and then people would realize, oh, this is serious, and there'll be adjustments made and shit like that. It doesn't need to be on a group coercion level. The ideal solution is to localize shit enough that people who are dealing with other people know the people they're dealing with and have some sort of relationship with them. If you can't localize shit enough, then you just have to accept the fact that other people, like yourself, just like me, I have access to burn down a fucking city with gas cans and this torch, but I never do it because I have no interest in doing it and don't want to because I'm a good person, like most everybody else. But because people don't have fundamentally an optimistic understanding of human nature and don't have fundamentally a sense that, oh, I need to worry about what I need to do, not what someone else might do, not what someone else could do, not what someone else ought to do, but what I ought to do. And worry about that. Do I need the government pointing a gun at me? And why are you distancing yourself from the actual enforcement of it? You go out there and point the gun. You go out there and point the gun at people and say, these people go to jail. Now, I hear what you say. You say things should all be legalized, but there should be all these regulations and shit. You have to talk.
You still don't get it. You still don't get it.
Jacob, I'm answering your point.
But you're still like, you're entering a different kind. Like you're sort of generalizing
you have to talk to somebody. Yes or no?
You're generalizing it.
Did you say that you should have to talk to somebody to get acid?
No. Now you get down to specifics.
Did you say that?
Yes, I said that. And before you start going counter-argumenting with me, it's sort of like, what you're sort of saying is like, everybody should like take acid and like, oh, I could burn down the entire village if I wanted to. Yeah, you could, but you're sober enough to realize you shouldn't. But when you're fucking on LSD and you're like, oh, well, everything's light, the fucking world's light, I can jump from my fucking balcony, you know. Then you don't fucking get how much LSD affects your brain, dude. You don't fucking get it.
I do. I've done acid multiple times.
Yeah? Have you had a bad trip, man?
Yeah, I've had a horrible bad trip.
All right, so have I.
Okay, I understand it's a serious drug. Nobody's disputing that. And I'm trying to work through the logic of this here. You're saying somebody should have to talk to somebody. I agree. The thing is, it should happen naturally. It shouldn't happen because we, quote unquote, point guns at people. If it does, then Jacob, I want you to be the one to do it, okay? I want you to get the gun and you to force handcuffs on the person and you to put him in the squad car and you to take him to jail and you to put him in prison. I want you to stand guard over him and watch him suffer.
You still don't get it, do you? You still don't fucking get it. I thought you were smarter than this, Eric. What I'm saying is you shouldn't be taken to jail for doing this. What I'm saying is, how can we make sure that people who are...
That's the point, Jacob, is that Eric's saying that we can't and we shouldn't let people, that natural selection or whatever you want to call it, take over.
Of course not. We can't fucking take people to prison for doing it.
No. I'm saying all along. People. You can't force your fucking rules on people without doing that. You get that?
But how can we fucking solve it then? Because what you're saying is same regulation as fucking weed, man. That's what you're saying.
Stop thinking weed, dude. That's the problem. You need to stop thinking in terms of weed. You don't get to worry about what other people fucking do.
Eric is saying,
if not, fuck it.
We shouldn't be concerned, like you're talking about, people can't handle it, they're going to OD, they're going to do this. Eric is saying that that's not, you shouldn't be worried about that, I shouldn't be worried about that. If somebody is honestly stupid enough to not research it, not have people babysit him during his trip, have no idea how he's going to handle acid, and he decides to take like 2 or 3 fucking hits, and he jumps off his balcony, then he should have known better.
Shit that can happen. much worse shit than that can happen. And what I think is that Eric is too obsessed by his own ego to even realize. He's like, oh, well, I'm my sole person. This is my job. This is what I do. You can't even relate to what other people's feeling or like go into concerns of other people.
I'm the only one.
And this is a heavy argument. I know that. But like,
I'm the one who's concerned. You think you're concerned because you don't understand. You're saying let's point guns.
Point guns. What do you mean by point guns?
You keep saying that we need to have these rules that we enforce.
Bullshit. Bullshit. Lie. Bullshit. That was not what I'm saying. I'm saying, how can we possibly regulate it in order to make sure the correct people like take it? Because what I'm thinking.
What does regulation mean?
What I think is that you should probably have it in some sort of way, in the same way as we have weed, but more restricted, much more restricted.
Restricted how? What if I ignore your restriction? What happens to me?
Well, then probably you have read a lot about it anyway. So you know what you're in for.
No, but if I, let's say you say we should restrict it, right? That means that it shouldn't be allowed for you to get acid unless you talk to somebody first. What if I ignore your restriction and give acid to somebody without them talking to somebody first? What happens?
Then I can't do anything. Like, well, I probably then. So what you're getting at is like, okay, well, I want to get acid. I talk to someone, I get acid, but I want to get acid and I don't talk to someone, and suddenly I'm in jail. Is that your point?
No, I'm asking you. You're saying we should regulate. We should have these restrictions. We should.
I'm asking you how. I'm asking you how do we do harm reduction of such a powerful substance?
I'm saying we don't.
I don't know the answer, Eric. I don't know. I know that like having it regulated or like illegal doesn't work. But I don't think like having it like completely illegal in the same way as weed or alcohol works either. There's like LSD needs some sort of middle ground, and I don't have the answer. I know there's somewhere there, but I don't think that like.
I'm telling you the answer.
What's the answer?
We don't regulate it.
Okay. A guy just walks into a bar, basically hides the fucking kite on LSD, and he punches the fucking teeth out of someone because he thinks he's a demon.
Well, all we need to hear is the part where he punches the teeth out of somebody. He's committed a crime, should go to jail for that. Everything else is irrelevant.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm getting at, Purple. Having a psychiatrist, sort of, like something. You have no fucking idea, Purple. You have no fucking idea what I've been through. Just shut the fuck up. You can watch like earlier Roll videos when I fucking talked about this. I've taken LSD more times than you fucking fucked somebody. Shut the fuck up and stick to the fucking topic, bitch.
He was saying there, Jacob, just to be clear, I think he was saying, if you punch somebody in the teeth, the hypothetical, if you punch somebody in the teeth, then you're probably not on LSD. I would agree that in general, LSD does not correlate with violence. But it doesn't matter. That's not the point. That's not the point, right? The violence is the problem, not the LSD. There's a crime that's been committed. The other shit's irrelevant. It doesn't matter if I was on LSD or if I was on feeling mad today.
No, you don't get it. You still don't get it.
How many people punch the teeth out of somebody because they're on alcohol? You're consuming right now.
It's not because they want to punch somebody. It's because they feel threatened themselves, because the entire world around them basically is in a fucking turmoil. They do it in a sort of, I wouldn't like, even if I was high on LSD, I wouldn't do it.
It's illegal, dude. So it doesn't, your restrictions aren't good because they don't work. Obviously, you took it despite the restrictions. The restrictions.
And now you fucking go, Eric, you fucking go black and white again. You fucking go like, oh, you're for restriction. I want to simplify this in the same way as Hillary versus Trump. Fuck you. That's not what this is about. This is about some sort of middle ground.
Listen, I'm going to explain to you exactly what this is. You've taken a bunch of acid while acid is illegal. And you're like, oof, yeah, that is bad. We should keep it being illegal. Or you say, yeah, that is bad. We definitely should have some restrictions in place because what you were subject to no restrictions. You took a bunch of it anyway. So how much good are the restrictions going to do?
That's what I'm saying. Restriction isn't doing any good. But I don't think legalizing it like completely would do any good either. I think legalizing completely would make people do stupid stuff. Like people want to push their limits. People want to take like combined weed, alcohol, and fucking LSD. Go to the club.
Jacob, removing threats of force will not make anyone do anything. Leaving threats of force will make people do things. Do you understand the difference?
Well, yes, of course I do. I basically already mentioned about the fucking alcohol restriction during the 30s, Eric.
Right. But you just said if we legalize it completely, we'll make people do things. But legalizing completely means removing threats of coercion will make people do things. But that's obviously not the case, right?
Well, just like Purple says, like having a psychiatrist's assessments would be sort of a compromise.
I'm not interested in compromises. I'm interested in arguing.
I've noticed that because you tend to paint the world in black and white, man.
No, Jacob, because it is the case that what you said indicates that you are not thinking correctly about this. Because you said
correctly,
if we remove threats of coercion, that will make people do things. When in reality, leaving the status quo is making people do things, and removing threats of coercion is not making anyone do anything.
You know what this feels like? I've been having debates with ISTJs, and this is exactly what it feels like. Because your principles are so born into who you are. You're so obsessed with your own like principles, so you can't even listen to what I'm saying. You sort of yeah, but you sort of simplify it. You want to generalize everything I say into different kind of folders to make it easier for you to understand it.
Okay, listen. What you just said is I don't understand you or I strawman you, and both those things are false. How do you know that? I just repeated back to you what you just said, unlike what you do with me, okay?
Yeah, just like memory and SI.
Listen, so the reality is I know all of the arguments you're making, which basically are there are harms that will incur if one is to have something entirely unregulated or unrestricted, okay? You're saying that. I get it.
Yes.
You're saying there are serious harms about something. We should have some sort of restrictions, blah, blah, blah. I get it. Now, here's the deal. The problem is the subject of the sentence, okay? Because when we act as a we like that, especially at a large societal level, there's only one principle that ought to be applied, and the reason is not because of principle, it's because of utilitarian outcomes.
I'm silent so far.
Now look. We have to apply the principle of non-interference. Everybody has their ideas about what someone else should be forced to do. Yours is LSD. Somebody else's is blah. Somebody else's is blah. Somebody else's is blah. The problem is that group politics involves compromise, and compromise involves making deals with people. And so it is that we allow this individual to enforce their personal perspective on everybody, and we allow that individual to enforce their personal perspective on everybody. I don't think it's a good idea to use any restrictions on LSD. Who's right, you or me, Jacob? Well, the difference between the answer is it doesn't matter who's right. If you win, everybody is subject to more force. If I win, everybody's subject to less force.
Can I speak now? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, as it stands right now, you know, how much do you have to drink before you're drunk on like alcohol? You'd probably drink like a few beers or maybe fucking half a bottle of liquor or something. Okay, you smoke weed. You take a few tokes and suddenly you're high as a kite. But imagine, like, I think Susan brought this into discussion, like younger people. Like if you have an age restriction, no restriction else, like no psychiatrist restriction, everything. Like people's gonna get LSD, and you're probably gonna say like, well, people get LSD nowadays anyway. No, yeah, or yes, but no. But people who are just taking a fucking sort of like a fucking mark in their fucking throat and just stick it there for 10 minutes, and they'll be high as a fucking kite, and they don't know anything about the world for fucking 6 hours, or the world is disoriented for 6 hours. It's not the same thing. You can't categorize LSD in the same folder as you do marijuana and alcohol. That's my point. I'm not saying it has to be illegal. I think illegalizing it is stupid. Having it illegal in the first place is one of the reasons I tried it. But I think there's gonna be like a lot more restrictions on it than it's on like weed and alcohol, because it's a totally different kind of substance. That is my point.
I agree, it's a totally different kind of substance. I think each of them are. I think the crazy thing is, I'm not opposed to age restrictions on principle because they're not. There's a certain amount of maturity that's required for consent. Okay, so age restrictions, they don't really bother me that much because everybody's subject to them, and then you grow into your full application of the rights. It's sort of a recency thing. But in contrast, I mean, the thing is, the problem it's really an angle. It's a problem of what paradigm are you supporting? Are you supporting a paradigm that argues in justification for group behaviors?
You go black and white again, Eric. You go black and white again.
Hey, Jacob.
Do you do this or do you do that? Like, Jacob, there's only two options here.
Listen to me. Listen.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. You either begin the conversation. No, you're not muted. You either begin the conversation from a position of a limiting principle, or you don't. And the thing is, that is black and white, and it's true, unfortunately. What you're saying is, let's not be black and white at all. Let's not begin with a limiting principle. Let's not begin with axioms. Let's not have anything we can compare back to, because we can feel our way through this. But we can't feel our way through this. And we do need to choose. And you do necessarily choose, even if you choose not to choose.
Eric, okay, you go on the offensive all the time, being like, okay, you think like this, you think like that, being all like, okay, I think you know what you're thinking.
I'm not telling you what you think.
No, but listen, let me ask you something. Do you think LSD should have the exact same restrictions as alcohol and weed, or should it be more like, what did I say, harsh restrictions on LSD? That's my question.
To answer that question, we have to set some framing things. Okay, first I have to ask, well, am I being offered a choice between the status quo and some new plan, or am I being offered a blank slate to build what I think the ideal situation is, or am I being offered to compare worlds against some presumed restrictive state and the absence of any restrictions?
Compare it to reality. That's fair enough.
Okay, so in reality, we have it illegal. Would I like it to be better, be less restricted? Yes. Would I be happy with restrictions that are less than the status quo? Yes. I'd be satisfied that I was moving in the right direction.
So what you're saying is you want LSD to be like completely legalized for everyone to get, except like, okay, maybe like age 18 or something.
I'm saying I'd like to reduce the number of times people either are acting under threat of force or are actually subject to immediate threat of force.
You're dodging the question. Do you want LSD to be legalized at the age of 18 or not? Yes or no?
No. I'm not dodging the question. I'm pointing out to you that your framing's backwards. Okay? So what it means to say that your framing's backwards is you're assuming, right, that the status quo is the default setting, which is in the status quo, we have a lot of coercion being used. And so you're asking me, how much coercion would you like to remove? And my point is, I don't default to the fact that there should be coercion in the first place. I default to the fact there should be no coercion, and we can work up.
Stop going all fucking politican, okay? Just answer the fucking question.
I'm answering it.
No, you're not. You're acting like a fucking politican. Might as well be fucking bloodline with Hillary Clinton. Fucking answer the question.
Jacob, did you just conflate my argumentation with Hillary Clinton's?
Yes,
you are a low down, no good scoundrel if you did, sir. Now, yes, I have never made that kind of a bad argument in my life. I certainly am not making one now.
Okay, so you're just gonna neglect any answer because you don't have any?
I am answering your fucking question. I'm telling you, I don't favor any coercion. However, there is coercion in the status quo. Would I remove all coercion instantly? Would I say, now from this point forward, everybody, there should be no coercion at all used against people for drug-related shit at all? Yes.
Okay. So you don't have any consideration for harm reduction? Don't you consider, like, since you've been doing LSD, you gotta know that LSD is a different kind of substance than weed and alcohol. You know, it alters your conscious in a different kind of way.
Okay.
And I understand completely your sense of like it's an individual thing and stuff like that. But don't you think people are gonna be stupid enough to do it in public places? And do you know how a psychedelic work in a public place?
Well, this is what I do know. This is what I do know for a fact, is that I was offered acid not that long ago. Had a chance to take it for free. Somebody had someone give me one. And I declined. I didn't accept the offer because it's too hardcore for me. Now, the thing is, here's what I didn't need, actually. I didn't want or need anybody to come up and point a gun at me to make sure I didn't do that. I didn't need or want any risk or threat of going to jail if I chose to do that. I didn't want or need any coercion involved in that relationship at all. It was an entirely consensual relationship between me and one other person. It had nothing to do with anybody else. Nobody else should get involved.
Obviously not, no.
So when I talk about restrictions, I think, what rules do I want applied to me while I'm engaged in this thing? Now that's called being honest about framing. It's about, what do I need to be controlled? How ought I be controlled by a third party, by threat or use of force? And for me, in none of my drug deals have I ever wished a cop were there with a gun saying, don't buy that drug.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it, but that's not the point.
I wish my meth dealer had asked me some questions to make sure I was qualified for doing meth. That would have helped a lot. Then I would have known I was qualified for doing meth, you see. If you're not qualified, then you shouldn't be doing it. Right?
Well, it's not, okay, Eric, what it's not about, okay, let's maybe state some things that should be obvious. First of all, there's a lot of stupid people on this planet. That's the first thing. There's a lot of stupid people that would do things that they're not like, they haven't read about stuff. They don't know about the side effects of it. And second of all, like, you shouldn't categorize like psychedelics in the same way as you categorize other things. And yes, people will still get them, you know. People will still get psychedelics even though they're illegal. They will, like, fucking, like myself, like fucking, I can get anything, but it has to go through sort of much more long motion. It's much more uncomfortable getting it. And LSD is not the kind of substance I would like to see like people taking, because I think, or I would like more people to take it. I definitely would, because LSD is mind altering and definitely like something that many people should try. But it's still like some people would be stupid enough to do it in a way that might harm other people.
Jacob, to put it simply, you fail to link to